Lieutenant Commander Alex Carter pressed his face against the viewport of the observation deck. The Cerulean Nebula stretched before him like a vast ocean of blue light. His equipment beeped steadily, confirming what he already suspected. Something unusual was happening inside that beautiful cloud of gas and dust. Still staring at that nebula, Carter? Alex turned to see Captain Elaine Weaver walking toward him with a datapad in hand. "My readings don't make sense, Captain," Alex said, pointing to his scanner. "There's energy coming from inside the nebula, energy patterns that look artificial." Captain Weaver frowned. "The Council has kept that nebula off-limits since before we joined the galactic community. They were very clear about that during orientation." Alex knew this well. Humanity had only been part of the Galactic Council for 12 years. As the newest members, they were still proving themselves to the 27 other species who had been exploring space, long before Earth sent its first rockets to the moon. "But that's just it," Alex argued. "Why would they quarantine an entire nebula? There's a planet in there. My scans show it's rich with resources, and these energy patterns suggest something is alive there." Weaver looked troubled. "The Council will be furious if we violate their quarantine." "We're scientists, Captain. Exploration is what we do," Alex said. "And technically, we're just outside the restricted zone." Before Weaver could respond, the communication system buzzed. The blue-skinned face of Council Representative Zix appeared on screen. "Captain Weaver, our sensors detect your vessel has been stationed near the Cerulean Nebula for 26 hours. You are reminded that this region is restricted by Council Directive 5991. Weaver straightened. "We're conducting standard research from a safe distance, Representative. No violation has occurred." "See that it stays that way," Zix said coldly. "The area you call the Cerulean Nebula contains the Forbidden Sphere. It is restricted for the safety of all Council species, even yours." The screen went black. Alex waited until Zix was gone. "Did you hear that? He called it the Forbidden Sphere. And what did he mean by for our safety?" Weaver looked at the nebula thoughtfully. "What exactly are your readings showing, Lieutenant Commander?" Alex pulled up his data. "The planet is habitable, oxygen atmosphere, gravity similar to Earth, and these energy readings suggest large life forms. The Council hasn't shared any information about dangerous organisms in that system," Weaver said. "They haven't shared much of anything with us," Alex replied. "The Council treats humans like children who need protection rather than equals." Weaver was quiet for a long moment. Finally, she tapped her communicator. "Bridge, prepare the scout ship. Lieutenant Commander Carter is going to lead a small expedition." Alex blinked in surprise. "We're going in?" "Officially, we're tracking a sensor malfunction that drifted into the nebula," Weaver said with a small smile. "Better move quickly before I change my mind." 3 hours later, Alex sat in the scout ship with Security Officer Greg Daniels and Engineer Samantha Kelly. The small vessel slipped through the beautiful blue gases of the nebula. "The Council must have a good reason to keep people away," Samantha said nervously as she monitored the ship's systems. "Or they want to keep the resources for themselves," Greg suggested. Alex shook his head. "Why quarantine it instead of mining it? No, they're afraid of something." The scout ship emerged from the nebula clouds and everyone gasped. Before them floated a beautiful blue-green planet with 3 small moons. "Beginning scan," Alex said, his fingers dancing across the control panel. Atmosphere confirmed breathable. Temperature ranges from tropical at the equator to subarctic at the poles. Massive forests cover about 60% of the landmass. "I'm picking up artificial structures," Samantha reported. "Looks like ruins, mostly, but there's one area that might be active." "Take us down there," Alex decided. "Let's find out what the Council is hiding." The scout ship descended through the atmosphere and settled in a clearing near the edge of a vast forest. Through the viewport, they could see the ruins of what appeared to be buildings, now mostly covered with vegetation. After confirming the air was safe, the team stepped out onto the surface of the Forbidden Sphere. Alex immediately activated his scanner while Greg kept his hand near his weapon. "These ruins are old," Alex said, examining a crumbling stone wall. "Thousands of years at least." "Over here," Samantha called. She stood before a metal door built into the side of a hill. Unlike the ruins, this structure appeared well maintained. Council markings, Greg noted, pointing to symbols carved into the metal. Alex ran his scanner over the door. This is recent, maybe 50 years old, and it's powered. He pressed his hand against a panel, and to their surprise, the door slid open. Should we really be doing this? Samantha asked. We've come this far, Alex replied, switching on his light and stepping. Inside, the structure was a research station. Desks with equipment stood covered in dust. Screens lined the walls. Power's still working, Samantha noted as she accessed a console. This was a council research team. Alex examined a series of specimens in preservation tanks. They were studying the local wildlife. He moved to another console and managed to activate it. Let's see what they found. The screen flickered to life, showing a research log. A severe-looking alien with gray skin appeared. Research Day 341. The Ravager specimens continued to resist all attempts at control. 2 more researchers lost in yesterday's containment breach. The Vikaleth military advisors insist we continue, but I'm recommending immediate withdrawal. These creatures are unlike anything we've encountered. Intelligent enough to learn, savage enough to destroy anything in their path. The log cut to a new entry. The same researcher looked panicked. Emergency protocol initiated. The adult Ravager has escaped containment. It disabled the security system somehow. We're evacuating immediately. Warning to all council species. This planet must remain quarantined. The Ravagers cannot be. The log ended abruptly. What are Ravagers? Greg asked, his hand now firmly on his weapon. Alex moved to another console and found images. His breath caught as he saw creatures like nothing he'd ever imagined. 6-limbed predators with armored skin and patterns of light running across their bodies. The images showed them moving with incredible speed, tearing through barriers designed to hold them. The Council's been trying to study these creatures, Alex said quietly, for decades, maybe centuries, and failing, Samantha added, pointing to more logs of abandoned research attempts. A loud sound from outside made them all freeze. It was like a howl, but deeper and somehow more complex than any animal cry Alex had heard before. Greg checked the scout ship's external cameras on his wrist device. There's something moving at the edge of the forest. Alex felt his heart race as he looked at the final entry on the research log. The Council thinks these Ravagers are just animals. Dangerous, predators to be contained or eliminated, aren't they? Samantha asked. Before Alex could answer, a massive shadow passed by the doorway. Something was circling the station. Something big. We need to get back to the ship, Greg whispered. Alex nodded, but his mind was racing with questions. If these creatures were just dangerous animals, why had so many advanced species failed to understand them? What if everyone had been approaching this all wrong? The howl came again, closer this time, and somehow, Alex didn't hear just hunger in that sound. He heard intelligence. Don't make any sudden movements, Alex whispered as they crept toward the scout ship. The shadow outside moved again, faster this time. Greg kept his weapon ready. I count at least 2 of them circling us. Samantha checked her scanner. The ship is only 30 meters away. We can make it if we run. Alex shook his head. Running might trigger their hunting instinct. We move slow and steady. They stepped outside the research station. The twin suns of the system were setting, casting long shadows across the clearing. Alex could feel eyes watching them from the edge of the forest. Almost there, he said quietly as they approached the scout ship. Suddenly, a loud explosion shook the ground. All 3 humans looked up to see a council warship entering the atmosphere. That's a Vikaleth battlecruiser, Samantha said. What are they doing here? The answer came quickly as energy weapons fired from the ship, targeting the forest edge. They're shooting at the Ravagers, Greg shouted over the noise. Alex's communicator buzzed. Captain Weaver's voice came through, sounding urgent. Carter, we've got a situation. Council Ambassador Zixthar arrived in system demanding your immediate return. When I couldn't reach you, he called in a Vikaleth patrol. They're firing on the local wildlife, Alex replied. Tell them to stop. The Vikaleth claim they're providing emergency extraction. Weaver said. Get to your ship now. Another explosion hit closer, shaking the ground violently. Alex heard a cracking sound and looked up to see a massive tree falling directly toward their scout ship. Look out, he yelled, but it was too late. The tree crashed down, crushing the ship's main engine. Greg swore loudly. We're stranded. Captain, our ship is damaged, Alex reported. We need another extraction. Sending a second shuttle, Weaver replied. But it will take time to prepare. The Vkleth are demanding control of the situation. The firing from the council ship continued, targeting, moving shapes in the forest. Alex watched in horror as trees burned and wildlife fled in panic. They're making everything worse, he said. These attacks will only make the Ravagers more aggressive. Samantha pointed to a small cave in the hillside. We should take cover until the second shuttle arrives. As they moved toward the cave, a loud howl of pain came from nearby. Alex turned to see something moving in the underbrush just beyond the burning trees. Stay with Samantha, he told Greg, and then moved carefully toward the sound. Carter, what are you doing? Greg called after him. Alex continued forward, keeping low. In a small clearing, he found what he was looking for. A young Ravager, smaller than the ones he'd seen in the research images, was trapped under a fallen branch. Its skin was a deep blue with patterns of light pulsing across its body. All 6 of its limbs were struggling to get free. The creature saw Alex and made a threatening sound, somewhere between a growl and a complex musical note. Its body lights flashed rapidly. I'm not going to hurt you, Alex said softly. He remembered his training with dangerous animals on Earth. Move slowly. Keep your voice calm. Show you're not a threat. The young Ravager continued to struggle. Alex could see it was injured, with a burn mark on one limb from the Vkleth weapons. Let me help. You, he said, moving a step closer. The Ravager's light patterns changed, becoming more organized. Alex realized the lights might be a form of communication. Making a decision that went against everything the council reports had warned, Alex knelt down just out of reach of the creature. I'm going to move this branch, he explained, as if the creature could understand him. Then you can run back to your family. Using all his strength, Alex lifted the branch just enough for the young Ravager to pull itself free. He expected it to attack or run immediately, but instead, it stayed where it was, its lights pulsing in a steady pattern now. Go on, Alex encouraged. Get back to safety. The creature tilted its head, studying Alex with eyes that seemed far too intelligent for a simple animal. It made a soft, musical sound. Alex slowly reached into his pack and pulled out a protein bar. He broke off a small piece and placed it on the ground between them. The young Ravager sniffed at the offering, then quickly grabbed it with one of its smaller limbs. It made another sound, this one almost like a question. It's food, Alex explained. Not the best taste, but it's safe. To his amazement, the creature took another step toward him. Its light patterns formed complex shapes across its blue skin. Alex heard shouting behind him. Greg and Samantha were running toward him, followed by a squad of Vkleth soldiers who had landed nearby. Step away from the beast, shouted the Vkleth commander, raising a weapon. The young Ravager hissed in fear, its lights flashing rapidly. Wait, Alex yelled, stepping between the soldiers and the creature. It's not attacking, it's just a juvenile. The Ravagers are classified as Class 5 predators, the commander said coldly. Council protocol requires immediate termination. It's intelligent, Alex argued. Look at the light patterns on its skin. That's communication, the commander sneered. Humans, always thinking you understand things better than species who have dealt with these monsters for centuries. He raised his weapon again, aiming past Alex. Without thinking, Alex stepped fully in front of the young Ravager. I won't let you kill it. Carter, are you insane? Greg called out. The standoff was interrupted by a series of loud howls from the forest. Adult Ravagers, at least 5 of them, emerged from the trees. They were massive, each one larger than a earth grizzly bear with the same blue skin and light patterns as the juvenile. Open fire, the Vkleth commander ordered. No, Alex shouted, but the soldiers had already begun shooting. The adult ravagers moved with incredible speed, dodging most of the energy blasts. Their light patterns flashed in complex sequences as they surrounded the group. Alex felt something push against his legs. The young ravager moved past him, making musical sounds toward the adults. Its lights pulsed in patterns that matched the larger creatures. To everyone's surprise, the adults stopped advancing. They formed a semicircle, watching. "They're communicating," Alex said in wonder. "The juvenile is telling them something." "Impossible," the Vikaleth commander spat. "They're beasts, nothing more." One of the largest adults stepped forward. Its lights formed elegant patterns that spread across its entire body. It made a series of sounds that rose and fell like speech. The young ravager responded with its own lights and sounds, then turned and looked directly at Alex. "I think," Alex said slowly, "it's telling them I helped it." The Vikaleth commander raised his weapon again, but one of his own soldiers grabbed his arm. "Sir, look at their behavior. This isn't normal aggression." Alex took a careful step toward the adult ravager. "We don't have to fight," he said, knowing the creature couldn't understand his words but hoping his tone might convey peaceful intentions. The adult's lights pulsed once, then settled into a steady glow. It lowered itself slightly, in what almost looked like a nod. "Do you see?" Alex said to the soldiers. "They're not mindless killers. The council has been wrong about them all along." Before anyone could respond, the communicator buzzed. Captain Weaver's voice came through, sounding worried. "Carter, the council has just raised this to a full emergency. Ambassador Zixithar is demanding your immediate return. What's happening down there?" Alex looked at the ravagers, their lights, still pulsing in complex patterns. The young one had moved closer to him again, seemingly unafraid. "Captain," he replied, "I think I just made first contact with a species the council has been trying to exterminate for centuries." Alex sat in the medical bay of the USS Horizon, watching the stars through the viewport. His arm was wrapped in a healing bandage where one of the Vikaleth soldiers had grabbed him during the extraction. The second shuttle had arrived just as the tensions between the humans and the Vikaleth reached their peak. Captain Weaver entered, her face serious. "Ambassador Zixthar has filed a formal complaint against you for violating council quarantine protocols." "The council is wrong about the ravagers," Alex said. "They're not mindless predators, they have a language, Captain. Those light patterns on their skin aren't random. They're communication." Weaver handed him a datapad. "While you were planetside, I did some digging in the council archives. There's very little public information about the ravagers, but I found this." Alex scrolled through the document. "This is a scientific paper from 300 years ago, by a Lorne scientist named Renlick. The Lorne are known for their peaceful approach to new species," Weaver explained. "According to that paper, Renlick also believed the ravagers were intelligent. The council dismissed his findings as sentimental nonsense." Alex continued reading. "Renlick theorized that the ravagers' light patterns might be a sophisticated language, but he died before he could prove it. Or the council made sure his research stopped," Weaver said quietly. The ship's intercom buzzed. "Captain, Ambassador, Zixthar is demanding to speak with Lieutenant Commander Carter." Weaver sighed. "I've stalled him as long as I can. Are you up for this?" Alex nodded and followed the captain to the communication room. The blue face of Ambassador Zixthar appeared on the main screen, looking furious. "Lieutenant Commander Carter, your actions have endangered a century of council containment protocols," the ambassador began. "The ravagers are classified as hostile, non-sentient predators. Your interference may have set their study back decades." "With all due respect, Ambassador," Alex replied, "I think the council's classification is wrong. The ravagers showed clear signs of intelligence and communication." Zixthar's color darkened with anger. "Humans, always thinking they know better. After a few minutes of observation than species who have studied these creatures for centuries. Maybe we see things differently because we don't approach them with weapons drawn," Alex suggested. "The young ravager I encountered didn't attack me when I helped it. A temporary anomaly," Zixthar dismissed. The Vyklith have extensive experience with these beasts. They are predators, nothing more. Then why did the adults hold back when they could have easily killed us all? Alex asked. Why did the juvenile communicate with them about my help? The ambassador's eyes narrowed. Your imagination is clouding your judgment. The Council has ordered all humans to withdraw from the Forbidden Sphere immediately. Captain Weaver, you will set course out of this system within 1 hour. After the communication ended, Weaver turned to Alex. What are you thinking? I need to study the Ravagers' light patterns, Alex said. If I can prove they're a language, the Council would have to reconsider their classification. The Council has ordered us to leave, Weaver reminded him. They ordered humans to leave the planet, Alex said with a small smile. They didn't say anything about studying data we've already collected. For the next 2 days, Alex barely left his lab. He analyzed every second of footage from their encounter with the Ravagers. The young creature's light patterns played across his screen hundreds of times as he mapped each sequence. On the 3rd day, an unexpected visitor arrived at the horizon. Dr. Renlick, a Lorne scientist and descendant of the researcher whose paper Alex had read. I heard about your encounter, Dr. Renlick said as they sat in Alex's lab. The Lorne was tall and thin with pale green skin and large eyes. My ancestor believed as you do, that the Ravagers are intelligent. The Council silenced his research. Why would they do that? Alex asked. Dr. Renlick's expression grew sad. Resources. The Forbidden Sphere contains rare minerals that would be protected under Council law if the Ravagers were classified as sentient. Politics, Alex said bitterly. So instead, they're labeled as dangerous animals. The Vyklith have led most expeditions. To study them, Dr. Renlick explained. Their aggressive approach has reinforced the Ravagers' defensive behavior. It became a cycle of violence that proved the Council's assessment. Alex showed Renlick his analysis of the light patterns. I've been trying to find patterns, but without more samples, it's difficult to establish a translation. The Lorne scientist studied the screen. This reminds me of something in my ancestor's private notes. He believed the Ravagers were not always as they are now. What do you mean? He found ruins on the Forbidden Sphere that suggested an advanced civilization once existed there. The Ravagers may be their descendants, forced to evolve after some catastrophe. Alex's mind raced with the implications. We need to go back to the planet. The Council has forbidden it, Renlick reminded him. Then we'll have to be creative, Alex said. Captain Weaver was surprisingly supportive when Alex proposed his plan. The Council ordered us to leave the system, which we did. They never specified how far we had to go. The USS Horizon positioned itself just outside the nebula, and Alex and Dr. Renlick prepared a small stealth shuttle. This shuttle has Council scientific markings, Weaver explained. As far as anyone can tell, it's just a regular Lorne research vessel. Before they left, Alex made one last preparation. He programmed a simple device that could generate light patterns similar to those he'd observed from the Ravagers. If they are communicating with those lights, he told Renlick, maybe we can say hello. The shuttle slipped quietly through the nebula and landed in a different region from their first visit. This area contained more ruins, half buried in the forest. These structures are at least 10,000 years old, Renlick said as they explored. Look at the symbols carved into the stone. Alex ran his scanner over the markings. Some of these patterns match the light sequences I recorded from the Ravagers. As night fell, they set up a small camp near the ruins. Alex activated his light device, projecting what he hoped was a peaceful greeting into the darkness. For hours, nothing happened. Then, just as they were considering giving up, lights appeared at the edge of the forest. A Ravager emerged, smaller than the adults but larger than the juvenile Alex had helped. Its skin glowed with complex patterns. "It's responding to our message," Renlick whispered excitedly. Alex adjusted his device, copying the pattern the Ravager displayed. The creature moved closer, its lights changing to a new sequence. "I think it's curious about us," Alex said. Suddenly, his communicator buzzed. Captain Weaver's voice came through, sounding urgent. Carter, we've got a problem. A Vicolith battleship just entered the system. General Vexcor is leading a final solution mission against the Ravagers. Alex looked at the creature before them, its lights pulsing in what seemed like a question. How much time do we have, he asked. Hours at most, Weaver replied. The Council gave them full authority to end the Ravager threat, once and for all. The Ravager in front of them made a musical sound, then turned and moved back toward the forest. At the edge of the trees, it paused and looked back, its lights forming a pattern Alex had seen before. I think it wants us to follow it, he said to Renlick. Should we? The Lorne scientist asked. Alex thought of the Vicolith soldiers with their weapons, preparing to exterminate a species they had never tried to understand. We need proof the Ravagers are intelligent, he said. This might be our only chance to find it. The Ravager led them deeper into the forest, to a hidden entrance covered by vines. Inside was a chamber that took their breath away. The walls were covered with the same light patterns they had seen on the Ravager's skin, but these were permanently etched into crystal. It's a library, Renlick gasped. Or a history. Alex scanned the walls, his device recording everything. This proves they have a written language, a history. The Council can't ignore this. The Ravager made a series of sounds and light patterns pointing deeper into the chamber. I think there's more it wants to show us, Alex said. They followed the creature through a doorway into a second chamber. In the center stood a device unlike anything Alex had ever seen. It hummed with energy, crystals floating in a complex pattern around a central core. This technology, Renlick whispered. It's far beyond current Council capabilities. Alex realized what they had found. Not just proof that the Ravagers were intelligent, but evidence that they had once been a highly advanced civilization. Now he just had to convince the Council before the Vicolith could destroy them all. Alex and Dr. Renlick rushed back to their shuttle, carrying as much data as they could collect from the ancient Ravager site. The Ravager who had guided them followed them to the edge of the forest, its lights pulsing in what Alex now recognized as concern. We'll come back, Alex promised, though he wasn't sure if the creature understood him. We'll try to stop the Vicolith. The Ravager made a musical sound, then reached out one of its smaller limbs and touched Alex's scanner. Light patterns flowed across its skin in a sequence Alex hadn't seen before. I think it's giving us something, Dr. Renlick said. Alex checked his scanner and found a new energy signature. It added data to our device. They had no time to examine it further. Captain Weaver's voice came through the communicator again. Carter, the Vicolith ships are entering the atmosphere. You need to get out now. The shuttle lifted off just as the first Vicolith vessels appeared overhead. Alex watched through the viewport as the warships positioned themselves around the planet. We need to get to the Council, he said. It's the only way to stop this. Captain Weaver met them as they docked with the USS Horizon. I've already set course for the Council station, she said. But we'll be cutting it close. The Vicolith will begin their attack in less than 12 hours. What exactly are they planning? Alex asked. Weaver's expression was grim. From what we've intercepted, they're deploying bioweapons designed specifically to target Ravager biology. They plan to eliminate the entire species. Alex felt sick. That's genocide. Not according to Council classification, Dr. Renlick said bitterly. Since the Ravagers are officially non-sentient, it's considered pest control. Alex connected his scanner to the ship's main computer. Then we need to change that classification immediately. For the next several hours, Alex and Renlick worked frantically to organize their evidence. The scanner data revealed that the Ravagers' light patterns followed clear grammatical rules. They weren't random colors. They were sentences, expressions, a complete language written in light. The data. The Ravager added to your scanner, Renlick said excitedly. It's a key, a translation matrix. Alex stared at the screen in amazement. It knew exactly what we needed. It was helping us understand their language. As the USS Horizon approached the Council station, Alex made one more unexpected discovery. Captain, I need to ask a favor. Weaver raised an eyebrow. Another one? I need to bring something aboard the station that might cause concern. The council station was an enormous structure housing representatives from all 28 member species. As their shuttle docked, they were met by Ambassador Zixthar and a security detail. Lieutenant Commander Carter, the ambassador said coldly. The council has agreed to hear your appeal, though I advised against it. The Vkleth operation has already begun and cannot be easily stopped. Then we need to move quickly, Alex replied. They were escorted to the main council chamber, a vast circular room with tiered seating. Representatives from each species watched, as Alex and Dr. Renlick took their positions in the center. High Counselor Mevran, a tall, dignified member of the ancient Floxian species, spoke first. We understand you wish to challenge the classification of the species known as Ravagers. Yes, High Counselor, Alex said. I have evidence that proves the Ravagers are not only sentient, but the remains of an advanced civilization that existed long before the council was formed. General Vexcor of the Vkleth stood up, his heavy armor clanking. This is absurd. My people have studied these beasts for centuries. They are predators, nothing more. With respect, General, Alex replied, your approach has been fundamentally flawed. The Ravagers respond to aggression with aggression. The council has only seen what it expected to see. He activated the presentation he and Renlick had prepared. Images of the hidden chamber appeared, showing the crystal walls covered in light patterns. These patterns match exactly the bioluminescent signals the Ravagers display on their skin, Alex explained. It's a written language. Several counselors murmured in surprise, but General Vexicor laughed. Coincidental markings, nothing more. Where is your proof these creatures understand this supposed language? Here, Alex said and played video from their encounter. The footage showed the Ravager responding to their light device, then leading them to the hidden chambers. Dr. Renlick stepped forward. Using the translation matrix we obtained, we've been able to decode some of their basic communications. They call themselves the Lumari. Their civilization was nearly destroyed by a stellar event thousands of years ago. The survivors adapted, evolving their bioluminescent communication to survive. General Vexcor was unmoved. Circumstantial evidence at best. These could be instinctive responses to stimuli, not proof of sentience. High Counselor Mevran leaned forward. Lieutenant Commander, while intriguing, this evidence is not conclusive. Do you have anything that directly demonstrates sentient thought and communication? Alex took a deep breath. Yes, High Counselor, I do. He turned and nodded to Captain Weaver, who stood at the chamber entrance. She pressed a button on her communicator, and the doors slid open. The chamber erupted in panic as the young Ravager, the one Alex had helped on the planet, walked into the council room. Security forces drew weapons, and several counselors rose from their seats in alarm. What is the meaning of this? Ambassador Zixthar shouted. Please remain calm, Alex said loudly. This juvenile Lumari has voluntarily come with us to demonstrate their intelligence. The young Ravager, which Alex had started calling Nova, moved carefully to stand beside him. Its skin glowed with complex patterns that shifted and changed. Nova is communicating right now, Alex explained. Using the translation matrix, we can now understand some of what it's saying. Dr. Renlick activated a device that projected the translation in Council Standard Language. Greetings to Council of Stars. I come in peace as voice of Lumari. The chamber fell silent in shock. General Vexcor recovered first. A trick! The human has trained the beast to respond to signals. That would still prove intelligence, Alex pointed out. But there's more. He turned to Nova and made a series of light patterns with his handheld device. The Ravager's skin glowed in response. I just asked a question Nova couldn't have been prepared for, Alex explained. I asked what the Lumari call the blue nebula surrounding their world. The translation appeared. We name it Cradle of Light, for it protected us when stars burned. High Counselor Mevran stood up slowly. This is unprecedented. The operation against the Ravagers, the Lumari, must be stopped immediately, Alex urged. They're not just intelligent, they're the remnants of an advanced civilization that survived a cosmic disaster. The technology we found in their hidden chambers could benefit all council species. General Vexcor's face darkened with fury. This changes nothing. The operation continues as planned. General, the High Counselor said firmly, if this evidence is verified, your operation would constitute genocide against a sentient species, a grave violation of Council law. The Vklith will not recognize these beasts as equals, the General shouted. Nova's lights pulsed rapidly, and the translation appeared. Your people have hunted mine for generations, yet we seek peace. The chamber erupted in debate. Some counselors demanded immediate protection for the Lumari, while others called for more evidence. The Vklith delegation stood in unified opposition. As the arguments grew heated, Alex noticed Nova's lights changing to a pattern he hadn't seen before. The young Lumari seemed to be trying to communicate something urgent. Wait, Alex said, studying the pattern. Nova is saying something about the Vklith. The translation flickered across the screen. Beware. VKTH, take Lumari, blood for weapons. Before Alex could ask what this meant, alarms blared throughout the station. Captain Weaver rushed into the chamber. The Vklith fleet has opened fire on our ship, she reported, and we're detecting multiple unauthorized launches from their vessels toward the Forbidden Sphere. General Vexcor smiled coldly. Too late, human. The purification has already begun. Chaos erupted in the council chamber. Security guards surrounded General Vexcor as High Counselor Mevron ordered the Vklith ships to stand down. They won't listen, Vexcor laughed. The operation has been planned for decades. The Lumari will be gone within hours. Nova's lights pulsed frantically. The translation appeared. My people have defenses. Ancient technology still works. Alex turned to Captain Weaver. We need to get back to the planet immediately. High Counselor Mevron nodded. I am sending Council peacekeeping forces, but they may not arrive in time. As they rushed toward the shuttle bay, assassins in Vklith armor attacked. They fired directly at Nova, but several Council representatives stepped in to protect the young Lumari. Go, shouted a Lorne Council member as he fell. Stop this madness. The USS Horizon raced back to the Forbidden Sphere, pushing its engines beyond safe limits. When they arrived, they found the Vklith ships surrounding the planet, firing weapons into the atmosphere. They're deploying the bioweapons, Dr. Renlick reported grimly. Nova's lights formed a complex pattern that Alex now understood meant hurry. Using the shuttle, they descended through the weapons fire to the surface. Nova guided them to a different location, a mountain peak with a small opening in the rock. Inside was a vast chamber filled with ancient technology, similar to what they had seen before but much larger. Dozens of adult Lumari worked frantically at crystal consoles, their skin glowing with urgent light patterns. One massive Lumari approached. Its skin glowed with patterns more complex than any Alex had seen. This was clearly a leader. Nova had called it Elder Light. The Vklith weapons target your biology, Alex explained, with Nova translating through light patterns. They've launched them across the planet. Elder Light's response glowed across its skin. We know. Ancient shields activate now. Throughout the chamber, crystals began to glow. Energy pulsed through conduits in the walls, and a vibration ran through the entire mountain. On the surface, a shimmering energy field spread across the sky, covering the entire planet within minutes. The Vklith weapons dissolved when they touched the shield. Remarkable, Dr. Renlick whispered. Technology that our council species can't even comprehend. Elder Light's patterns shifted. For generations, we hide. Now we must speak. Human Alex first to listen. When they returned to the council station days later, everything had changed. General Vexcor and his conspirators had been arrested. The truth had emerged. The Vklith had been harvesting Lumari biological material for their weapons program for centuries. In a historic ceremony, Elder Light and 5 other Lumari stood before the full council. Using Alex's translation technology, they negotiated the first peace treaty between their people and the galactic community. The Lumari offer their knowledge of sustainable energy systems in exchange for recognition of their sovereign rights, Alex translated as Elder Light's patterns glowed. High Counselor Mevron signed the treaty. The Council acknowledges our grave error and welcomes the Lumari as equals. Alex was appointed the first human ambassador to the Lumari, with Nova as his counterpart. Together they would bridge the Yober gap between species that had once seemed impossibly different. As they stood watching the ceremony conclude, Nova's lights formed a pattern Alex now recognized as friendship. Humans see with different eyes, Alex said to the assembled council. Where you saw beasts, we saw intelligence. Perhaps that is humanity's greatest gift to this galactic community, the ability to recognize that intelligence comes in many forms. Elder Light's final message glowed for all to see. From enemies to friends, this is the way of wisdom.